I just came from the 2023 Central Texas Housing Summit. There was a panel of speakers, economists talking about the real estate market, and we had the city mayor and this gentleman for, let me see, Opportunity Austin, and that just got me really pumped up for the future for the city of Austin. Now, I want to give a little recap on what was discussed and some key takeaways here that I think if you're in the market to buy property in Austin, you're going to want to hear this. So I'm going to leave the notes there. You guys can read that as I'm speaking to it. I just want to really speak to some really big points that I really want to, express. And that is what you probably can already see is what's in bold. Interest rates are not going to be coming down. Period. I know that's a bold thing to say. And I know nobody wants to hear that. And it's funny as I'm saying that because that's exactly what the economists on the panel were saying, right? They get a lot of pushback when they say this because people, we have a bias as people, right? When we look at years past to kind of dictate what the future might look like, and looking at these interest rates that were record low, historically low during the pandemic, is something that I think people are expecting to see again, or at least come close to, which is not the case, at least according to these economists. And I agree with them, right? And I would want things to return to those kinds of levels, because if we lived in a world where interest rates went back down to the 3, 4s, and 5s, that means there's a bigger problem at play, like economically speaking. Think of a big picture, like us as a country, that's happening to respond to that. And keep in mind that the interest rates as low as they dipped was a direct response to the pandemic, our energy costs, and the war happening in Ukraine. There are what happens globally we're affected by that. We're definitely not immune to that. So we had all these factors, which is what the reserve used to, lower interest rates to kind of keep our economy going, especially during the pandemic. So I say all that because if you are a buyer in 2023 and you're looking at the future, or looking at, okay, when would be a good time to buy? The time and interest rates is a big part of that decision-making process, because you're thinking, if interest rates go down, I'm going to save more money. That's true, but you have to look at the full picture, not just one little piece of it. Because ultimately, yes, your interest rates do affect your buying power, but interest rates also reflect the demand that the market's going to have. Meaning, if interest rates are climbing, median sales price is going to be dropping because people are going to have less purchasing power as a result. So what am I seeing across the board? So for those of you who don't know me, I'm a real estate agent here in Austin. I service the Williamson County area, so that's just north of Austin. And what I'm seeing in my current market is we're still trying to find where that normal is. Unfortunately, we're still seeing a bunch of price drops, price improvements, because there's a lot of listings out there that are still trying to kind of chase that market, chase what that normal looks like. And I think it's people are having a hard time grasping and using that kind of using that reasoning of like, well, within the last 2 years, it sold for that much. Why can't it be that today? And we have to remind ourselves. This is why I tell my clients all the time to try to think of it this way. This is what's really helped me kind of really have this kind of make it just make sense. And real estate on a day-to-day, any given day, is just a snapshot of what a buyer that day is willing to pay for a home that's on the market. Now that changes every day. So can we use data from years past to kind of help us paint somewhat of a future of what that to kind of forecast? Yes. But when it comes down to it, when we're looking at like the individual super macro level, that changes constantly. And the big point of where I'm trying to drive at here is that if you've been on the fence, waiting for prices to drop, waiting for some type of magic bullet to appear, as far as interest rates, that's not going to be your magic bullet. Now, there might be this inventory getting a lot of inventory might be coming back to the market because with Airbnb, I'm still doing my research on that to see how much that's going to really affect my current market, because I know for Austin, the short-term rental market, they have a very good grasp on permitting and not and is making sure that there's enough housing for everybody. Speaking of, two things I really wanted to emphasize too, right? Which was when Kirk Watson, when he went to speak, he really gave us reassurance that Austin is a special place because we have so many other cities wanting to do business with us, wanting to partner with Austin, which is great because they see that Austin is growing. They see that business is coming here, and that we have the workforce. We have one of the younger, more educated workforce that because of all of our universities. And one thing that big businesses look at when they're looking to set up shop or expand like Tesla did is, what does the local workforce look like? Because we want to make sure wherever we invest our money, there's going to be a workforce to help to work the business, right? And Austin is every bit of that, right? Not just with Tesla, but we're seeing that with Samsung up in where I'm at in East Williamson County in Hutto and Taylor area. And I'm just super excited for that area because everything I keep seeing, articles I keep reading, that area is super exciting. I know one thing I love about Williamson County, if you live here now, is that you do really get these nice little pockets of that small town feeling. And Hutto is you definitely feel that now, but in the foreseeable future, that's probably going to be a little bit less and less because of how quickly it's growing. Now, I know change sucks, or people are kind of very resistant to change. I know it took a long time for me to have kind of a reframe on how I perceive change, but I think all of these things are for the better. And I really feel confident because I'm from Los Angeles, California originally. And I know firsthand just how much population density is a big factor for just feeling like you just shoulder to shoulder with everybody and there's not enough housing, right? I feel confident with Kirk Watson and the people over there at Opportunity Austin thinking about big picture long term when it comes to our infrastructure, when it comes to affordability, when it comes to housing. We have the right people in power that will fight for Austin, that have common sense to make good decisions and just listen to what the market's saying, to what our needs are we're their constituents. I really feel like they're listening to our needs of what we're looking for, which is affordability and more inventory. Now, when you look at the news, I know that is almost the opposite of what I'm saying, but keep in mind that if you watch the news, and that's your source for when it comes to real estate, they are approaching that from a national perspective and typically only looking at the coast, the big cities on the coastal region. Austin, on the other hand, is a special place because we have the amount of businesses coming here, the amount of space we have to develop is what makes us unique. And I feel we're going to be able to weather the storm when it comes to finding the right approaches to housing affordability and making sure. This is one thing that he said, Kirk Watson said, that really spoke to me. And because I know as a millennial, sometimes it's very easy to feel like we have been kind of set up for failure. And the idea of home ownership is so out of our grasp, out of our reach. We feel screwed, that the system screwed us over. I know I have many friends and family that fall in this category, and it just pains me because I was fortunate enough to not go the traditional route as far as going to college or after high school. I ended up enlisting in the Marine Corps, and that's what ultimately, funded my college. And I didn't have any debt, but all of my friends have student loan debt, and I hear their stories, and I feel what their emotions of how much of just a drawback, just starting late in life, how that feels. And I'm here. I'm gonna get a little sidetracked, but I think this is important that I do this tangent. My purpose as a millennial who's a real estate agent is to help my fellow millennials with student loans get into a home. It is 100% possible to do that, because there are loan products out there that will accept your student loan debt. And I don't want this video to be just about that. It's just a little teaser of what's to come, because I definitely plan to create content to provide some education behind how that would kind of work and look like. And another tactic that we can use, because here's this, and write in the comments if you know where this is from, because I laugh every time I say it. Modern problems require modern solutions. Who said that? Comment down below. And I say that because I have been working, and it's now it's my life mission to help my fellow millennial brothers and sisters learn that, yes, even though we were probably dealt a shitty hand, there is a way out. And I'm always going to look for a way to figure it out. And I'm here to be in your corner to help get you there, right? There are loan products out there. There are people that work these loan products that want to help. I know them, right? We're going to be putting content together, and there are ways because I see in my generation that because of student loan debt, you're putting off certain life events like getting married, and how can you possibly afford a home on just one income if, traditionally speaking, you need two incomes to afford a home, especially depending on where you live? Well, if you're not going to get married up or do it the traditional route, what other way is there to do it? Well, I'm sure many of you have thought do it with a friend, a coworker, colleague, someone that's you're not in a romantic relationship with. But how do you do so without risking that relationship and not getting screwed financially? Well, there are ways. There is a legal way. There are agreements out there that can work for you. Google cohabitation agreements and joint ownership agreements. Again, I'm going to be putting all this content together for you guys, because I believe this is going to be one way to approach how us millennials tackle this mountain we have to climb to achieve home ownership. Now let's kind of circle back to what I was saying with Kirk Watson, the city mayor. He leaves me very optimistic. How are we doing on time? Okay, I'm going to wrap up here in a few minutes. He leaves me very optimistic of where he sees Austin, especially how his strategy to getting more housing through the pipeline. One thing that he said that was just mind-boggling was that to get land developed, how the timeline for that approval process for Travis County, it grew. So let's just say you're a developer and you're going through the process to get your permitting approved for a housing development. One application goes through 11 city departments, 20 full-time employees, and typically 5 review cycles. Now, that can take anywhere from 18 to like 24 months. So, are there builders, developers out there wanting to build and give us inventory? Yes. Do we need to streamline this process on how permitting gets issued and approved? Yes. Is Kirk Watson very much aware of that problem? Yes. Is he doing something about it? Yes. That's why I left this housing summit very optimistic for the future. Inventory is coming. They have not forgotten about us. And please stay tuned, because the content, especially for my millennial brethren, you're going to really want to pay attention to come back to, because I'm going to have not just me, but I'm going to have a few of my partners in this business come together, do some cool video content, hopefully, provide some knowledge, educate, so you can see that there is light at the end of this tunnel. There is a way out. You can achieve home ownership, a life that you want in this lifetime. Okay? And I know you could do it, because if I could do it, I know you can do it. And I have had my fair share of setbacks, but I'm still here. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you're looking to just keep up with real estate here in the Austin market. My name is Omar Pineda with eXp Realty. Thanks for tuning in.